Remember the original Google Pixel Watch? It was a really good looking watch, but it had a lot of problems, most notably battery life. Seriously, you'd be lucky to get about 12 hours out of that thing before you need to charge it. Then Google launched the Google Pixel Watch 2. This looked pretty much the same as the Pixel Watch 1, but has better battery life and some new features. But it wasn't quite there yet. Now we have the Google Pixel Watch 3. And you know what? This is the one. So the Pixel Watch 3 looks pretty much like the Pixel Watch 2, which of course looks pretty much like the original Pixel Watch. Google hasn't messed with the formula here, but that's okay because the Pixel Watch 3 looks great. In fact, the watches are so similar that all the accessories you own for your Pixel Watch 2 will work on the Pixel Watch 3. That includes your bands and your chargers. The biggest physical difference between them is the bezel. On the Pixel Watch 3, we have a 16% smaller bezel surrounding the display, which of course gives you more screen real estate. But otherwise, that's it. Google kept the same Snapdragon Wear 5100 processor, the same 2GB of RAM, and the same 32GB of internal storage. Really, the biggest change that it made this year is the one that we've been wanting for a really long time, which is this. This is the Google Pixel Watch 3 in its larger 45mm size. It's basically the same as the 41mm size, but bigger. Because the 41mm Pixel Watch 3 is basically the same as the 45mm Pixel Watch 3, but this one is brand new, I'm going to focus mostly on this one. Obviously, with the bigger size, you get more display. And Google uses this really well. Check out this watch face here. This has two modes to it, minimal and plus. In minimal, you get extra large text and you can see everything nice and clear. And then in the plus mode, you get some extra complications around the edge, which give you more information at a glance. When you do the same thing on the smaller 41mm Pixel Watch 3, the text in the minimal mode looks good, but then when you go into that plus mode, it gets really small and tough to read. So this just makes the 45mm watch a slightly better experience than the 41mm one. Additionally, you can see on the weather tile here that you get 4 hours of projected temperatures on the bigger watch, and you only get 3 on the smaller watch. Unless you really want that smaller display for whatever reason, I would highly recommend checking out this one. Another reason to go with the 45mm Pixel Watch 3 over the 41mm is battery life. Obviously, this has been one of the biggest problems with Pixel Watches all the way back to the original, and Google largely solves it with the 45mm. Because there's a bigger battery inside this one, you're gonna get better battery life than you will from this one, and certainly than you will from the Pixel Watch 2. I've been wearing the Pixel Watch 2 since it came out in October last year, and I've got a pretty good routine going with it. In the mornings, I snap it onto my charger in the bathroom before I take a shower, and then at night, I snap it on the charger next to my bed so I can let it charge for a little bit while I read before going to sleep. Doing this allowed me to last a full day with the Pixel Watch 2 without needing to worry about it running out of battery. And if for whatever reason I skipped one of those charging periods, no big deal, it would still make it through the rest of the day. With the 45mm Pixel Watch 3 though, this is completely unnecessary. I can charge once a day and be just as good as I would be charging twice a day with the Pixel Watch 3. Or I could just not charge at all and still last an entire weekend. That's right, I can wear the 45mm Pixel Watch 3 for an entire weekend without charging. This is unheard of with any other Pixel Watch. Here's a real world example of what I'm talking about. I went to bed on Friday with my watch charged to 100%. I woke up on Saturday, I went for a bike ride, I got a bunch of notifications, I used some apps, had the always on display on all day, and by the time I went to bed on Saturday night, I had 50%. When I woke up, I did the same thing. I went on a really long bike ride, 2 hours actually, and then I got all the same notifications and used all the same apps that I normally would do. When I went to bed on Sunday night, I had 14%. I woke up on Monday with 4% and then finally needed to charge. So I was able to go to bed at 100% on Friday and go all the way until Monday morning without having to touch a charger. It goes without saying that one of the main reasons why the battery life is so good on the 45mm watch is because the battery is just bigger. But you still will get better battery life on the Pixel Watch 3 smaller version than you would on the Pixel Watch 2, even though they have the same exact size battery. And there are two reasons for this. One is the brand new Actua display on the Pixel Watch 3, and the other is Wear OS 5, which is finally coming to the Pixel series with the Pixel Watch 3. Regarding the actual display, the display on the Pixel Watch 3 can get a lot brighter than it ever did on the Pixel Watch 2 or the Pixel Watch 1. It goes up to 2000 nits now, which is a bigger number than the 1000 nits we saw on the Pixel Watch 2. This should help you get to see your display a little bit better on bright sunny days. But what helps with battery life is the fact that the display can also go down to 1 nit of brightness, which no other Pixel Watch has been able to do before. This will allow you to look at your watch and not have it blind you when you're in a dark room. I went to the movies with the Pixel Watch 3 on my wrist, and I was able to comfortably check the time without disrupting my neighbors because the display was so dim. If I wanted, I could have gone the extra mile and put it into theater mode, but that wasn't really necessary because the watch was dim enough. And all that dimness meant that I was saving battery life the entire time I was watching the movie. At Google I/O in May, the company told us that its #1 ambition with Wear OS 5 was to make it more battery efficient, and all that work has paid off because the battery life on the new Pixel Watch 3 models is terrific. But better battery life isn't the only thing Wear OS 5 brings to the table. There are a whole bunch of new features, some of which work really well, and some of which don't. First, both versions of the Pixel Watch 3 have an ultra-wideband chip. This should allow you to unlock your Pixel phone just by bringing your watch nearby. This only works on the newer Pixel phones, namely those in the Pixel 8 and Pixel 9 series, but it works really well. If you have an older Pixel phone, don't worry, you'll still be able to use this feature, but you'll be using Bluetooth instead of ultra-wideband, which is not as fast or as accurate. Wear OS 5 also brings an app icon grid to the Pixel Watch, which is a lot better, in my opinion, than the old-fashioned list. I love the app icon grid, but if you like the list, don't worry, you can always go back. The famous Recorder app from Pixel phones also makes its way to the Pixel Watch 3. This allows you to record, listen back, and even upload your recordings to the cloud so you can view them on your Pixel phone. This worked really well in my testing. I think it'd be really useful to have this if you were having a conversation with someone that you wanted to record, such as an interview. Unfortunately, some features do not work as well as you may have hoped. Auto bedtime mode is one of those features that I had big hopes for, but unfortunately let me down. The problem with auto bedtime mode is that Google doesn't seem to know the difference between sleeping and just laying still. I was reading on the couch, laying down, and my phone and watch automatically went into bedtime mode at some point during that little reading session. This was really bad because it caused me to miss a notification that I was expecting because my phones were both turned to basically do not disturb. I'll come back to it at some point when Google has worked out the kinks here. Hopefully, eventually, Google will have a better idea of when I'm sleeping and when I'm just not moving around a lot. There are a few other cool features here, such as integration with Nest cameras. This allows you to view your camera feed on your watch in real time. This also works for the Nest doorbell, so when someone comes to ring the doorbell, you can actually see who it is and even communicate with them all through your watch. There's also an Ask to Hold feature, which works with Google Pixel's Call Assist feature, allowing you to put the caller on hold straight from your watch so you can figure out who it is and maybe talk to them or maybe not talk to them. Usually, when we're testing a smartwatch's health tracking capabilities, we test it against a chest strap. For reasons I won't bother going into here, chest straps just happen to have better GPS and better health tracking capabilities than most smartwatches. So, just as usual, I put on my chest strap, I put on the Pixel Watch 3, and I went for a bike ride to test out the health tracking capabilities. I was blown away by the metrics. The Pixel Watch 3 compared to the chest strap is basically the same. I have never seen a smartwatch's health tracking be this close to a chest strap before. On top of this, the Pixel Watch 3 is now a lot better at detecting your activities and asking if you want to track them. For example, if you go for a walk, it will actually notify you and say, are you taking a walk right now? Do you want to track it? And you can hit track or ignore it. This also worked on the Pixel Watch 2, but it is so much better on the Pixel Watch 3. It used to take about 10 minutes for an activity to be detected on the Pixel Watch 2, but the Pixel Watch 3 cuts that in half. This also works for running, cycling, swimming, and a whole bunch of other activities. There are also some more minor health-related features like morning brief. This is a really cool feature that gives you a rundown of your health metrics in the morning in a little notification. Unfortunately, it feels a little anemic right now. For example, it's missing calendar notifications, which would be really helpful in the morning so I know when my next meeting is. Finally, there are a bunch of new features for runners here, including an AI-powered run coach that can give you real-time guidance while you're out on your run. You can also plan a lot of your runs ahead of time, send it directly to your watch, and head out with a plan, including a map that works offline. I wasn't able to try these out though because I'm not a runner. I have really bad asthma, so running's not my thing. Thankfully, my colleague Caitlin has done a lot of running stuff, and she's written all about it in our written review at androidauthority.com. I'll leave a link to that in the description. And one more thing about health. This is all free. Everything that I've told you about is not locked behind Fitbit Premium. There are a couple of AI features that are locked behind Fitbit Premium, but all the star features are free for anyone and work on any Android phone. Good move, Google. Okay, let's look at the big picture here. With the Pixel Watch 3, Google has fixed the biggest problem with the Pixel Watch line, which is battery life. On top of that, it's introduced a new, larger model that has more screen real estate than any other Pixel line before it. Even the smaller model still has more screen real estate than the previous Pixel Watch 2. We also have better fitness tracking, meaning that I don't even need to take a chest strap with me anymore. I can just rely on the health tracking of the Pixel Watch on my wrist. And on top of all of that, we have a bunch of new features that are debuting with the Pixel Watch 3 that you cannot find on the Pixel Watch 2, at least not yet. Now, when you add all that together, Google still hasn't raised the price for the entry tier model in the Pixel Watch line. The Pixel Watch 3 in its 41mm size still comes in at $349. Meanwhile, the bigger model is only $50 more at $399. And if you want LTE models of either of these, you just have to pay an extra $100 for each one. Of course, I do understand that that is a lot more expensive than something like the Galaxy Watch 7. However, the Galaxy Watch 7 doesn't have a beautiful rotating crown, and it had a lot of battery life problems when it first launched. Meanwhile, the Galaxy Watch Ultra is going to offer a lot more features over the Pixel Watch 3, but the Galaxy Watch Ultra is going to cost you twice as much money as any model in the Pixel Watch 3 lineup. Also, with the Samsung watches, some of the health features are locked to Samsung Galaxy phones. So if you're not in the Samsung ecosystem, you're not going to be able to have access to those. Google doesn't do that with the health-focused features of the Pixel Watch. Yes, some features are going to be locked to Pixel models, but not the health tracking ones. All the health stuff that I've discussed today work on any smartphone, not just Pixels. All in all, yeah, this is a seriously impressive smartwatch. If you're still rocking an original Google Pixel Watch, I highly recommend trying out either the smaller or the larger version of the Pixel Watch 3. And if you're still using a Pixel Watch 2, I still recommend upgrading to the Pixel Watch 3, especially the larger one so you can get that better battery life and that bigger display. But I want to know what you think. Have you bought a Pixel Watch 3? If so, what size did you get? Jump down in the comments and let me know. And in the meantime, I will see you in the next video.